Hello, and welcome to Eat Smoke Drink. I'm Eat Smoke Drink, and thank you again for joining me in this lovely afternoon. Today I am going to be reviewing the Johnnie Walker Blue Label. It's a bottle that everyone knows because it carries a lot of prestige. The bottle looks awesome. Look at that, it's got a blue hue. It's got this little dangly thingy here. Everyone brings it to a party, and yeah, you're the coolest mutt. Okay, you're the mutt's nut. I'm going to review this with you today, and I will talk to you a little bit about the distillery. Well, shall I say about Johnnie Walker itself. Johnnie Walker is a blended whiskey. It has grain whiskey and it has single malt whiskey blended into it. It is produced and bottled by Diageo. Diageo is one of the biggest, most gargantuan alcohol beasts in the planet. They're so huge, they own pretty much a large chunk of all Scottish distilleries. Whether it's a single malt whiskey or a grain distillery, they own a large chunk of it. And as such, they specialize in blended whiskies because they can get all sorts of barrels and all sorts of whiskey from all of their distilleries and blend them together for a particular flavor profile that they can sell that they deem as good. They say on the ad, or they say on their website, shall I say, that to make a Johnnie Walker, only 1 in 10,000 barrels are good for Johnnie Walker Blue. 1 in 10,000 barrels. We've all been to duty-free shops where there's literally thousands. There are thousands and thousands of Johnnie Walker Blues. So that kind of gives you the impression of how many barrels Diageo produces. To be able to produce 1 in 10,000 barrels, thousands of bottles, how many barrels do you actually own? So by all means, it's not a small batch. It's not a small run of whiskey. It is a huge run of whiskey. It's just not as huge as the other ones. So that's one thing that I have to, when you read the brochure about it, you have to keep that in mind. This whiskey contains a good amount of Clynelish, contains a good amount of Cardew, and a little bit of Benrinnes, but it also has just a whiskey from all the other distilleries as well to create that flavor profile. So yeah, I mean, look, and on their website as well, they don't say add water, they don't say whatever. I mean, they tell you to drink it how you want, but they actually say the best way to drink it on their website is to have a glass of cold water, and the whiskey, and you alternate sips. I'm curious why they said that, although I think why they say that, but I will take you through that in a bit, because I've had this before, and I've done this before, and I'll take you through that, but I want to take you through it as I taste it. So let's start nosing. They say that only the rarest bottles go to this whiskey. Now, I believe that because they own a lot of the distilleries. Some of them are permanently closed distilleries, which means that those bottles are ultra rare. But in a bottle, there might be literally just a little tiny bit of that rare whiskey in there. We don't know. But let's nose it anyway and see what we get. You do get the Clynelish in there, which is quite interesting. You get the Clynelish in there. You can nose the Clynelish. It sticks out like a sore thumb. I'd say there's a lot more Speyside and then Highland in this. I'm getting a slight smokiness to it. I wouldn't be able to tell you if it's an Isla peat or a non-Isla peat, but there's a very, very faint smoke and peat in there. But more so smoke than peat. More so smoke than peat. So there's a big difference with smoke and peat. I'm getting cherry on the nose. I'm getting fruit. A slight spice. Let me pick what spice that is. A little bit of cinnamon, fruit cake. Raisins on the nose. That's probably from the sherry influence there. Now, I'm not sure if they color their whiskey. A lot of companies color their whiskey, and it doesn't say on the label as well if they chill filter their whiskey, okay, or not. Nowhere on the label it says if they chill filter it. So we'll see what the taste is like, because chill filtering does a big thing on whiskey. It's 40%, by the way, 40%. I'm getting slight earthiness, cocoa, chocolate. So actually the nose is very complex. I'm really liking the nose. I'm really liking the nose. It's There is a distinct smokiness in there. I can definitely get that distinct smokiness. The smokiness is like, you know, when you've had a little bonfire and it's been out, but you can still smell that smoke around the bonfire, but there's no actual smoke. That's the kind of smoke I'm getting. Like an old smoke. Quite pleasant, actually. I'm getting fruitcake, definitely. Raisins, cinnamon, a little bit of nutmeg. Quintessential sherry influence, in my opinion. And dark chocolate. There's a slight salinity right in the end, and slight bitterness right in the end. And that's reminiscent of dark chocolate. Not too dark, but on the dark side of chocolate. On the dark side of chocolate. But here is my criticism with it. But let me just try the water thing. That's very interesting. So when I alternate water and no water, it's actually very interesting. What it does is that the water acts as a palate cleanser, and it seems like your mouth is renewed with flavor, which is good. I actually do recommend you alternate sips of water and no water, actually, to be honest, because every time you drink water, it cleanses your palate. You drink it again, and it's almost like your first sip. No more new flavors come out. You don't feel anything else. It's just every time you drink water, it's like the first sip. Now I understand why they've done that now, because after sipping a few without alternating and then alternating, I get it. This whiskey is relatively complex. There's a lot going on in there, but it's also uber and super drinkable. Like, I can drink this like water in itself. It's a 40%. And I think what happens is this. I think they chill filtered this whiskey. Now, correct me if I'm wrong, Johnnie Walker, write to me. Chill filtering is what they do. They literally chill the whiskey and they take out some resin and oil in there, which to me is counterintuitive, because you spend years and years and decades in barrels to get the oil resin from the wood, whether it's an old cask of this, an old cask of that, or a virgin oak, whatever it may be, which is very rare. But you get all that oil, and then you chill filter it. What chill filtering does is that it mellows the flavor of your mouth. It takes the oiliness away, literally. And so by doing that, it makes it more palatable to maybe countries where the mass market do not like super robust whiskey. I think that this particular one has been chill filtered, and so if you have it multiple sips at a time, you actually get acclimatized to the flavor very quickly. There's no progression in the flavor with this. What you get in the first sip and the second sip is what you will get forever. That's what I'm finding. There's no progression in the mouth at all. With the water, it makes you feel like you're getting the first sip straight away. Every time. You're getting the first sip every time, which is like, oh, first sip, oh, first sip. But actually, it hides the fact that they've watered down the whiskey to 40%. And I'm going to be quite scathing here. To be honest, I think it's a bit of a piss take. It's a little bit of a piss take that they've watered down a super premium whiskey to 40%. I mean, are you kidding me? 40%. 3 more percent, I reckon, could have made this from an alright to good whiskey to a very good whiskey. 3 more percent, 5 more percent. Now, once again, correct me, Johnnie Walker, correct me, Diageo, but they do that because they market the fact that it's perfectly blended for you and all that stuff. Yes, it's very drinkable. I can drink this without even thinking about it. But when I drink whiskey, I want to think about it. I want to think what I'm drinking. I want to think about, why does it taste that way? There's no thinking here. It's just what you get, that's it. And I think it's quite disappointing that it's 40%. I say, give it another 3 to 5%, it would have turned it into a very good whiskey. I want to say exceptional. I'd argue with anyone who said this is exceptional whiskey. If you say this is exceptional whiskey, I would argue back to say you haven't tried enough. Okay? It's not a bad whiskey, but it's not exceptional whiskey. And the marketing of it, I mean, the bottle is so luxurious. The marketing they've done is so good that everyone assumes this is one of the best whiskies you can get in the market. Just because it's the highest volume movement doesn't mean it's the best whiskey you can get in the market. I mean, your average canned food in the supermarket is probably one of the highest selling. It's not the best food. It's a bit disappointing. It lacks body, it lacks character, the nose is superb, the taste is good, but it lacks finish. The finish is almost non-existent. There's almost no finish. I mean, like on their website it says, oh, it finishes in the most superb way possible. Really? The superb way possible? Can you describe what superb way possible is? There is no description for that. So I would say that this whiskey is quite a disappointing whiskey for the price you pay. Now, here's what's going to hit you in the face. The reason why I say that is this. Would I buy this whiskey again? No. No, I would not. Why? Because this particular bottle is about 200 to 250 USD in duty free. Yes, you didn't hear me wrong. 200 to 250 duty free for this bottle. For that, I can get 2 bottles of exceptional whiskey for you. But to be honest, if you want to drink good whiskey, it's not the whiskey that a connoisseur, I think, would really say it's worth the money. You can get so much better. Like I said, it's not a bad whiskey, but it's not exceptionally good. I just challenged Diageo to bottle these in 45% and keep it the same price, or maybe even less. I just think that 40% is just taking the mickey out of people. It really is. So look, Cigar Pairings for this. It's not a bad whiskey, like I say. Cigar Pairings, I would say, once again, mild cigars, mild to medium. I wouldn't waste my exceptional Cubans with this, but I would do my standard line Cubans with this. I would do natural cigars. I wouldn't do much Dominican, because Dominican are generally quite spicy. You'll just drown this. You'll end up drinking this and going, I'm drinking water here with your cigar. It really just won't mix well. You know, the water format, yes, I suggest you do that, because every time you drink the water, it cleanses your palate. New experience. But because you have to do that, it's disappointing. You shouldn't have to do that. A good, exceptional whiskey builds on itself. It progresses. The more you have it, the more your mouth gets coated in oil and the more flavors you taste. And this is why I put this as an average whiskey. Thank you very much for joining me today. Have you had this whiskey? Do you find it exceptional? Tell me why. I'd like to know. Do you find it as disappointing as I have? Tell me why. I want to know. Please hit subscribe. I appreciate it. And ring the bell. And see you again until next time.